Recording on this computer. So I think I've just started the recording. Hello, everybody. This is synchronous session number 2, Maranatha Baptist University, and this is the second synchronous session for the fall of 2017. So a couple of announcements. This weekend, 23rd of September, you have your second test due. Yesterday you had some homework due, and then this Saturday you have some homework due also. So just make sure you get your homework in. If there are any questions, problems, let me know. Usually this time of year, I don't get a lot of students going on vacation, but you never know. Might have a student who gets snowed in, which online classes are kind of tough to have a snow in. Honestly, I work at a K through 12 school, and we like snow days because we can't get to school. Online, you have to have like a major internet outage before we can cancel anything, and it has to be like major, because they could be still running in Wisconsin, and here in Colorado we could still be good. So anyway, usually we don't have too many days off this time of year. So you do have the homework and the test scheduled for Saturday. The test on Saturday is all online, so just make sure you check your email because there is a password that will let you get into the test. And if you have any problems, my cell phone is listed. Hopefully I'll be available. Yeah, hopefully, just because I'm supposed to go through a corn maze, which I don't really understand the whole concept of corn maze anyway. I grew up in Hawaii, and we don't have a lot of corn, but everybody in Iowa tells me it's the greatest thing in the world to run through a maze of corn, but sometimes I just don't get it. So we do have the test. To make sure you check your email for the password. If you don't have your password, that may not be good. You do have one attempt to take the test, so in case there are any browser issues, that could be generally bad. But in that event, just text me and I'll try to fix it. It might take me a little while in case I'm not in front of my computer. Next week, I think we have a quiz scheduled for about Thursday next week. I think Thursday's quiz, I don't remember if it's online or not, so I will let you know sometime this weekend. So today's synchronous session, I thought I'd go over the review sheet. Your review sheet should have been in your email box, and it's also available on the learning management system. So I thought I'd work through these problems. Number 1, the average attendance, A, at a minor league baseball park can be modeled A equals 30W plus 6,000, where W is the number of games the team won the previous year. So this year's attendance is 8,970. That's going to be the attendance, 30W plus 6,000. So we're going to solve this, subtract 6,000 to both sides. So you have, take a look here. It's going to be 2,970 equals 30W. So my students here in Colorado say it's PEMDAS. People eat more donuts at Dunkin' to evaluate an expression. If you're solving equations, they say go backwards, SADMEP, which we figured out a good acronym. Super awesome dads mostly eat Pop-Tarts. So you have 2,970 equals 30W. We're going to divide both sides by 30. Therefore, 99 is equal to the number of wins. For a minor league team, that's actually pretty good because they play a whole lot less games than major league teams. On number 2, we got to distribute this out first. 2n times 1/2 gives you an n. Negative 5 times 1/2 gives you 5 halves, plus 4/3 is equal to 5n over 6 minus 3 halves. So we got to take that 5n and bring it over to the other side. I'm going to subtract 5 6n, subtract 5 6n. I'm going to add 5 halves, subtract 4/3, which I suppose I could have added those together. Negative 5 halves plus 4/3 gives me 7 6. So then I'm going to add 7 6 to both sides of the equation. These guys will cancel, that guy will cancel, and you should have 1/6 n is equal to negative 1/3. So to cancel off for your n, I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. What you do on one side of the equation, you do to the other. Therefore, n is equal to negative 2, which, by the way, that rule, what you do on one side of the equation, you do to the other, is one of the biggest rules in algebra. You got that, you got most of algebra figured out. Number 3, negative 0.5y plus 1.3 is equal to 0.4 minus 0.2y. So we're going to, let's see, subtract 1.3 on one side, subtract 1.3 on the other, add 0.2y on one side, add 0.2y on the other. So you have negative 0.3y is going to equal to negative 0.9. Negative 0.3y is equal to negative 0.9. We're going to divide everybody by negative 0.3. Two negatives will make a positive. Y then will equal to positive 3. Y is equal to positive 3. And let's go to number 4. This to me is an ideal test because it has a mixture of um, multiple choice and free response. I like those kinds of tests. I mean, I don't like taking them, but I like giving them that way. Number 4, we have 11t plus 4 is equal to negative 51. Subtract 4, subtract 4. 11t is equal to negative 55. T then is going to be negative 55 divided by 11. T is equal to negative 5. Let's go to number 5. Number 5, we have 7/3 x minus 1/4 is equal to 5. I add 1/4 to both sides of the equation. So then I have 7/3 x is equal to 9/4. I divide both sides by 7/3. Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, 3/7. So the final answer, actually that should be 5 plus 1/4 is 21/4. 21/4. 21/4 times 3/7, and that is going to give me 3 9/4. 9/4 as my final answer. X is equal to 9/4. Now the proper way to write it is x equals 9/4, but I'm not too picky. You get the right calculation, we'll call it good. On number 6, we have 46 equals 2y. Well, let's try that again. 46 is equal to 2y plus 28. Subtract 28 on one side, subtract 28 on the other. So we end up with negative 22 is equal to 2y. Negative 22 is equal to 2y. We divide everybody by 2, so we have negative 11 is equal to y. Y is equal to negative 11. Let's go to number 7. Number 7. 9 minus 6x is equal to 18. Again, we're going to do SADMEP because we're solving equations. We do subtraction and addition first, then we do division, multiplication from left to right, exponents, and then parentheses. Lastly, but finally, 9 minus 6x is equal to 18. Subtract 9, subtract 9. Negative 6x is equal to 9. Negative 6x is equal to 9. We divide by negative 6. Therefore, my final answer is going to be negative 9/6, or we can reduce it. Negative 3/2. If you want to give me the decimal, negative 1.5. Now, I'm okay with decimals. My younger students, one time, they had this very similar problem. Negative 9/6 is equal to negative 3/2. And they asked me if decimals were okay. It's like, decimals are okay. So one kid writes out negative 0.7. And I said, wait a minute, if you're going to write decimal, you've got to write the right decimal. You can't just expect any decimal then to be the correct answer. So let's just make a deal here. As long as they're equivalent fractions or equivalent decimals, I'll mark it right. So anyway, let's go to number 8. We have this one that looks like a lot of reduction that needs to be taken place before we go ahead and solve it. So we're going to use PEMDAS. We're going to do the parentheses first. So this is going to be 4 bracket 2 minus 5w minus 15 bracket minus 2w plus 2 is equal to 2 bracket. Let's see. In the parentheses here, I have 5w minus w. Let's make it 4w. And then 1 minus 3 makes it negative 2 inside of the bracket. So under the first bracket, we have 4 bracket. 2 minus 15 makes it negative 13 minus 5w minus 13 minus 2w plus 2. There's nothing we can do to combine those two puppies there. 2 times 4w makes it 8w. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. So again, since we're dealing with expressions on either side of the equation, we're not technically solving for the equation quite yet. We're using PEMDAS. 4 times negative 5. W makes it negative 20w. 4 times negative 13 makes it negative 52 minus 2w plus 2 is equal to 8w minus 4. And then you have negative 20w minus, let's see, negative 20w plus 2w. Is that 2w? Plus. That should be a plus. Makes it negative 18w. Negative 52 plus 2 makes it negative 50 is equal to 8w minus 4. So what I'm going to do here is, let's see. I'm going to, what did I do here? Subtract. What did I do? Taking a look at the answer key here. I'm going to subtract 8w to both sides of the equation. And I did not give you too much space here. By the way, on the test, if you need scratch work, totally cool with the scratch work. Negative 26w minus 50 is equal to negative 4. Negative 26w is equal to 54. Actually, is it 54? Nope. 46, because 50 minus 4 makes it 46. So then w is going to be 46 over 26, which then you also have the minus sign, reduces down to negative 23 over 13. So somebody asked me, do I always put the easy problems in the front and all the hard ones at the back? The answer is no. Sometimes I mix it up. So never know where either a harder problems was. That was a little bit more work than the other ones. A number, let's see. Is that a typo? Yeah, I guess I do have a typo here. Solve for y. Nope, not solving for a typo. We're isolating for y. That means we keep y on one side and move everybody else to the other. 11y is equal to 2x plus 3. Y is equal to 2x plus 3. To get rid of the 11, you divide by 11. So y is equal to 2 over 11x plus 3 over 11. So when I mean to solve, I want to keep y by itself and move everybody else to the other side of the equation. Flip the page here. Excuse me. And let's go to number 10. We got solve for m. So you want to isolate for your variable m, which, by the way, this is sometimes one of the harder problems for students, to isolate for a variable when there's multiple variables in here. So what I like to do is I tell students, circle it and then move everybody accordingly. So we got to keep the m, negative m over 2 on one side of the equation. We got to move everybody else to the other. Negative m over 2 is equal to 8n minus 3n minus 5. Because we're going to subtract 3n on one side, subtract 3n on the other, subtract 5 on one side, subtract 5 on the other. These guys cancel, and you're left with 8n minus 3n minus 5n. Negative 1/2 m is the same idea as negative m divided by 2. 8n minus 3n is going to be 5n minus 5. So the coefficient in front of your m right now is negative 1/2. To undo it, you can divide by negative 1/2. Which dividing by negative 1/2 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is going to be negative 2. That's why when students say inverse, I don't like the word inverse. This is not inverse. Okay, reciprocal is a different idea. Negative 2 times 5n is negative 10n. Let me write this again, negative 10n. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. So m is going to be isolated, negative 10n plus 10. Let me write that again because that's ugly. M equals negative 10n plus 10. All right, number 11, solve the proportion. So we can really write this, 11x over 3, 11/3 x is equal to 154 over 21. By the way, you may use a calculator. So if you are like me, have a calculator, which you can probably tell I am a Los Angeles Dodger fan. Well, let me clear that. 154, fraction button, fraction 21, and that's on one side of the equation. I'm going to divide it by 11/3. And then the final answer is going to be 2. So, totally okay with you guys using a calculator. So, let's go to number 12. Number 12, find the slope. The slope, make sure you know the formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, change of y over change of x. y2, this is going to be x1, y1, this is going to be x2, y2. So, I'm straightening up the paper. y2 is going to be 8 minus 8, x2 negative 6 minus a negative 2, and you have a 0 over negative, let's see, negative 6 plus 2 is going to be negative 4. But that doesn't really matter because you have 0 on the numerator. You can have a 0 on the numerator. You cannot have a 0 on the denominator. 0 on the denominator is bad. When you get to calculus, notice I say when you get to calculus. When you get to calculus, you may have the expression 0 over 0. That is called an indeterminate form. I think there's about 7 of them. 0 over 0, infinity over infinity, infinity minus infinity, 0 to the infinite power, and there's like one more, which I'm dealing with right now in calculus 2. But 0 can be in the numerator, 0 cannot be in the denominator. The point in life I was saying is 0 over 0. If you were to graph that, that's going to be what we call a hole, like hole in the graph. So in case you're ever like staying up all night trying to figure out, what does a 0 slope look like? It's going to be a horizontal line. What happens if you have a 0 on the bottom? That's going to be a vertical line. What happens if you have a 0 over 0? It's going to be a hole in the graph. I'm sure everybody has that kind of dream. Actually, I have the math dream. It's like in Kung Fu Panda, I guess. You know, you have the noodle dream. You know, at the beginning, Kung Fu Panda #1, Po was talking about, or Po's dad was saying having the noodle dream. I have the math dream. I have the calculus dream recently, like almost every day, actually. Find the equation of the line with slope m equals
This
7.
guy is amazing.
Y equals mx plus 7. Hey, thanks for the comments. I got all kinds of stories. You should take my class face-to-face. Anyway, y equals mx plus 7. Got threw me off now. Y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept form. Now, m is going to be your slope. You got to find the equation through the line. And I used to not do it this way, but you know, I've taught a few sections at the community college, and that's the way they want me to do it. Put your y value as 4. Put your x value as 9. Put your m value as 7 and solve for b. So yeah, 4 is equal to 7 times 9, which is 63 plus b. So once you have that, you got to isolate for b. Subtract 63 on one side, subtract 63 on the other. Negative 59 is equal to b. And then make sure you read the directions. Find the equation. Y is equal to 7x minus 59. And that is your equation. Okay, let's go to number 14. Is negative 1/8 a solution to that system of equations? I guess what you could do is just plug in 8 for y and negative 1 for x. And if it works out for both equations are good. 8 times 8, we're looking at the first equation, is equal to 56 minus 8 times negative 1. 56 minus or plus 8 is going to be 64. So it checks out. Let's go to the second equation. 8 times 8 is equal to 65 plus x is negative 1. 64 is equal to 65 minus 1, which is 64. It works out for both equations at the same point. By the way, in case you were wondering what this looks like, it's going to be two equations. Y is equal to, one has a negative slope, the other one is a positive slope. So actually, negative 1/8 is, well, let's try that again. It's going to come right up there. So it's going to be two lines, and they're going to intersect at one spot. And that's actually kind of fun to do. I do it often, plenty of times a year. So let's go to number 15. X is equal to 4y plus 35. 2y plus x is equal to negative 7. So the easiest way to do this one is by substitution. We're going to take that 4y plus 35 and punch it into that x. 2y plus, instead of x, we're going to take the first equation. 4y plus 35 is equal to negative 7. 2y plus 4y plus 35 is equal to negative 7. 2y plus 4y is 6y plus 35 is equal to negative 7. So we need to isolate for y first. Subtract 35. Subtract 35. You have 6y is equal to negative 42. We're going to divide everybody by by 6. Y is equal to negative 7. So once you have y equals negative 7, we can isolate for your x by plugging into either equation. Really doesn't matter. just going to go to the second equation since I see it first. 2 times -7 plus x is equal to -7. -14 plus x is equal to -7. Add 14 to both sides of the equation. X is equal to 7. So the ordered pair x, y is going to equal to 7 and -7. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done. Let's go to number 16. And I don't remember how your book solves these. I don't know if they use elimination. But I'm going to do elimination since I can. It's my synchronous session, right? I can do whatever I want. Anyway, just calm down, everybody. We got this under control. 2x minus 3y is equal to 18. We're going to multiply the whole equation by -1. -2x minus 5y is equal to -2. 2x minus 2x, they cancel. -3y minus 5y and -8y is equal to 18 minus 2, which is going to be 16. -8y is going to be 16. We divide by -8. Y is equal to -2. That works out. Let's see. Once you have y equals -2, I would just substitute it. Doesn't really matter. 2x minus 3. -2 is equal to 18. 2x plus 6 is equal to 18. Subtract 6, subtract 6. 2x is equal to 18 minus 6, which is 12. X then is equal to 6 since we're dividing both sides by 2. Final answer, as an ordered pair, is 6 and 2. Almost done. We've got a couple more here to go. Number 17. Did I count these right? 14? Oh, yeah. I always do these tests, and I look at the numbering, and the ones on the left column should be odds, and the ones on the right should be evens. And I'm looking at these, and the evens are on the left, rights are odds. So I misnumbered them, but I didn't because number 1 actually went through both columns. Always freaks me out because it's not really good. That, hate to admit, you guys, but yeah, sometimes I have trouble with my numbers. Anyway, let's subtract 8. Subtract 8. -t is less than or equal to 17 minus 8, which is going to be 9. Now, your t has got to be positive. So what I'm going to do is divide by -1. What you do on one side, you do to the other. T is then going to be -9. Since you multiplied or divide by a negative number, we got to change the direction of the inequality. So a couple ways you can write the answer. T is greater than -9. Since all the numbers are greater than -9, you can write -9 infinity. This is what we use at the college here in Colorado. Again, that's the way they do it in the college algebra class. You could also write in set builder notation, T such that T is greater than or equal to -9. But I think this is harder. I think this is easy. That's easy. If you want to do a number line, -9, close circle, greater than or equal to, shade to the right. All right, let's go to number 18. Let me move the camera just slightly down. And I probably should have given myself a little bit more paper. We're almost done here. My voice is ready to give out. This one has to be set up 2 ways. -13 less than x plus 14 and. So I think your book only does the and situation where it's less than. So I always say less than, less and. That means both situations need to be addressed. It has to fit both situations. And actually, it's just going to be an interval. It's going to be, the solutions are going to be between the smaller number and the bigger number. So it works out nicely on these. X plus 14 is less than or equal to -5. Let's go ahead and solve the left equation first. Subtract 14, subtract 14. -27 is going to be less than x. That means x is greater than -27. Subtract 14, subtract 14. X is less than -19. So what we're looking for are all the numbers that are bigger than -27 and smaller than -19, including those numbers. For it to graph it, we have a number line. We're going to include it this way. You can write it -27 less than or equal to x, less than or equal to -19. We also do it this way, -27, -19, with a bracket. So parentheses means we're not going to include those numbers. Brackets means we do include that. I don't remember if your book does it that way. So again, there's a way we do it at the community college that I've done a couple sections. We do it this way with the bracket. And I can read it any which way you do it. It doesn't matter to me. Let's see. Number 19, lastly but not leastly, negative 19 less than 2x minus 7 and 2x minus 7 less than 20. So let's add 7, negative 12 less than or equal to 2x, and 2x minus 7 less than 20. Let's add 7, Whoop, you don't see a thing. There we go. That's a little bit better. And actually, let me zoom in closer since we're almost done here. Hopefully you guys caught most of the session. My internet said it was unstable. I guess it held it. Turned off the baseball game in the background. I was watching my Dodgers lose again. So you have negative 6 less than or equal to x. So it's x going to be all the numbers greater than negative 6. And let's see here. 2x is less than 27. X is less than 27 halves. 27 halves. Sorry, I'm going to calculate that. It's late for me. 27 divided by 2, 13.5. So we're looking for all the numbers that are greater than negative 6 and less than 27 halves, which is 13.5. We're going to include negative 6, but not include 27 halves. So a couple ways we can write this. We can write this. Is that right? Uh-oh. Let me take a look at this real quick. Plus 7. Ooh, I made a boo-boo here. That's a 14, not a 19. Negative 14. So that's going to be a 7. It's going to be 7. Negative 7 halves. Whoops. Less than or equal to x. There we go. Fixed it. So you can write it negative 7 halves less than or equal to x less than 27 halves. The other way we can do it, negative 7 halves in brackets, 27 halves in parentheses, since we're not including those. Okay, I think I'm done for now. I think it's almost 9 o'clock here in Colorado. Probably not 9 o'clock there wherever you're at. Probably a whole lot later. So I'm going to go get some coffee. So I know, I'm just going to get decaf because I don't want to stay up till like 2 o'clock in the morning. Dodgers are already losing. I don't need to stay up. Anyway. Anybody have a question? Everybody good? Okay, I'll stop there. You can always reach me by email. Again, if you have any problems on the test, don't feel, go ahead and just call me or send me a text message, and I'll try to address it as quick as possible. Hope everybody has a good night.